Welcome back to these BJCP style study sessions for the BJCP training program from the Brewers Anonymous Homebrew Club. We're continuing our look at category 4, which is pale multi-European lagers, and we're on to subcategory 4B Festbiers. Okay, so let's get started here. The overall impression, according to the guideline, reads a smooth, clean, pale German lager with moderately strong malty flavor and a light hop character. Definitely balances strength and drinkability with a palate impression and finish that encourages drinking. Showcases elegant German malt flavors without becoming too heavy or filling. Okay, from there, let's look at the vital statistics. Again, if you're new to this series, if you're new to this series, these are not things we will know when judging the beer, but it is a part of what makes the style what it is, so we still review it, even though we will not know these, and the brewer does not need to report these. So the beer you taste may not necessarily fall in these ranges, but these are the general ranges for this style. Starting with original gravity of 1.54 to 1.057, final gravity of 1.10 to 1.012, an IBU range of 18 to 25, an SRM range of 4 to 6, and an ABV range of 5.8 to 6.3%. Okay, so now what we do need to know about this beer, as far as evaluating it, are the following characteristics, starting with aroma. And for this style, the aroma reads a moderate malty richness with an emphasis on toasty, doughy aromatics with an impression of sweetness. Low to medium low floral, herbal, or spicy hops. The malt should not have a deeply toasted caramel or biscuity quality. Clean lager fermentation profile. Next up is appearance. Appearance reads, deep yellow to deep gold, should not have amber hues, bright clarity, persistent white to off-white foam stand. Most commercial examples are pale gold in color. Now on to flavor. Flavor for this style in the guideline goes as follows. Medium to medium high malty flavor initially, with a light toasty bread dough quality with an impression of soft malty richness. Medium to medium low bitterness, definitely malty in the balance. Well attenuated and crisp but not dry. Medium low to medium floral, herbal, or spicy hop flavor. Clean fermentation profile. The taste is mostly of Pils malt, but with slightly toasty hints. The bitterness is supportive, but still should yield a malty, flavorful finish. And finally, for the characteristics that we will be evaluating the beer on, we have mouthfeel. Mouthfeel reads, medium body with a smooth, somewhat creamy texture, medium carbonation, alcohol strength barely noticeable as warming, if at all. Okay, and of course, with every entry in this guidelines, we are given a set of commercial examples, most of them German in nature. I will do my best. Apologies ahead of time to anyone that speaks German. Well, I'll say anyone that speaks German better than I do, which is anyone that speaks German, because I do not speak it well, but I'm going to do my best. Commercial examples are Augsteiner Oktoberfest, Hacker Shore Superior Festbier, Hofbrau Oktoberfest Beer, Lowenbrau Oktoberfest Beer, Polliner Oktoberfest Beer, and Weihenstephaner Festbier. And I do have one of those here, and that is the Weihenstephaner. If I'm saying that right, let me look at it again. Weihenstephaner. I have this beer, this Festbier. The words match the guidelines. That's the best I can do. I am always horrible at any foreign language. I'm not even really thinking I speak English well, as that sentence just described. I also have my study card here, flashcard, whatever you want to call it. I believe that, yep, that's right. That is 4B Festbier. So I'm going to go ahead, get my initial impressions, and then I have a score sheet and a pencil ready. I'm going to do my evaluation, but let's do the initial comparison here real quick. I do have a bottle opener. There we go. And camera pours. I seem to get better at this than worse at this. It's a definite up and down. All right. So let's go right with appearance because it's sitting here right in front of the camera. Deep yellow to deep gold color. I would say that's kind of actually in between. It's bordering on gold. Little dark-ish yellow. Not a dark yellow, but a deeper yellow going into gold. Bright clarity. Yeah, it's pretty clear. Again, always hard in this part of the country to show off clarity, and also harder to do with the camera equipment I'm doing. But I would say that's clear. Maybe not. Yeah, it's bordering on bright. It's pretty clear. Persistent white to off-white head. You can probably kind of see that's still hanging there, even after a few moments of discussing this beer. On to aroma, and let's see, we got moderate malty richness. Definitely got that malt sweet character. Toasty, doughy aromatics with an impression of sweetness. Okay, I mentioned the sweetness already. Not getting the doughy in this quick compare, but maybe when I sit down and really take it in the evaluation, maybe it'll come out. And maybe as it warms up too. This is fresh out of the fridge and about as cold as it's going to be in this whole recording. Low to medium low floral, herbal, or spicy hops. I do get a little floral there for sure. And that is, even though it's kind of blending in with the sweetness, it's still it's distinct enough to pick out. Clean lager fermentation profile. I got that as I poured it. There was no mistake. This is a lagered fermented yeast beer, or at least has that characteristic of it. Let's see. Flavor, medium to medium high malt flavor. Yeah, and it's one of those rare beers that tastes exactly like the aroma that's on, I think. It's almost identical to it, but it is definitely malt forward. Light, toasty, bready dough, impression of sweetness. Again, got the sweetness. Not sure about that other part, though. It might not be that complex. Medium to medium-low bitterness. It is towards a medium-low. It might actually be a little lower than that. I'll kind of think that over as I evaluate it. The medium-low to medium hop flavor, same there. The flavor is actually really lacking. It's as delicate as it was in the aroma. No more, no less. And clean fermentation profile. Yeah, that follows exactly what I was saying with the aroma. Mouthfeel, I can also comment on that, having just sipped it. Medium body, maybe a little less than that, but not too far. Smooth, somewhat creamy texture. Absolutely. Very pleasant texture to this beer. Medium carbonation might be a little higher than that, but it's bottled, and that might have something to do with it. It just might be a little more carbonated before it gets put into the bottles, but that's speculation. I don't know that, so I can't say that when I do my evaluation. But that's a quick compare. We'll see what the evaluation actually has to say. And I do have a score sheet here. It's not filled out yet. I don't know why I showed you a blank score sheet. You should know what that looks like by now. I hope you have one too. And I hope you have a beer to follow along with, even if you don't have a commercial example. Even just another beer that's being sold as a Festbier, or a beer that's a German lager style that you can compare. It might be a very bad, low score, I should say. Maybe not necessarily a bad score, a very low score when judging it against the style guidelines, but as long as you get that practice in, because we're at the point now in our training and in our exam prep where it's practice is 90% of what we need to do, if not more. Practice, practice, practice. The best thing you can do for your judging exam or tasting exam, whichever the proctor is calling it, or the administrator is calling it, is practice for it. And that's what we're going to do right now. At least that's what I'm going to do. And I hope you do too. I am going to go do that. I'll be back in 12 minutes and we'll discuss what my evaluation of this beer is. All right, I'm back. I've got my score sheet and I think it's all filled in. I didn't check that before, which this is essentially turning in my score sheet like you would on your exam. There's something on here I don't like that I did, and I'll talk about that when I get to it. You might have noticed it if you were looking really closely when I held up the picture, but otherwise it is filled out. Everything's filled out. So here we go. Here is the evaluation. Category 4, subcategory B. The category spelled out is Festbier. Aroma, I said, moderate sweet malt base with a light but noticeable grainy to fresh doughy note. Delicate floral hop character mixed with the sweet base malt notes. Distinctive clean lager yeast fermentation character. I gave that a 10 out of 12. Appearance, I said, deep yellow, bordering on gold in color, a very clear, a bright white head of fine bubbles that held, dropping to a tight collar of fine bubbles around the cup. And that was a 3 out of 3. Flavor, sweet, pills-like malt. Character is forward and pleasant. Extremely light, grainy, and doughy notes follow. Light bitterness that fades quickly in the aftertaste. Delicate, sweet floral notes open as the sample warms up. Clean lager yeast character. 16 out of 20. Lowest score, I'll tell you right now. And I'll tell you why when I get to the overall impression. Mouthfeel. Let's see. Medium to medium light bodied. Probably should have wrote that the other way, medium light to medium. But at least I got the range in there and painted the picture of what I observed. That's the point. Medium carbonation level. A silken-like creamy texture. No strong alcohol heat. No astringency. Pleasant, crisp, dry notes. So you might be wondering why I noted something that wasn't there. We'll talk about more of that in an opening video to another style. But what I did this evaluation is look at the kind of guide notes that are under each here and made sure I hit them all. Like I said, I'm going to talk about this more in another lesson. But under each category, there's something that you should comment on. In mouthfeel, it said body carbonation, warmth, creaminess, astringency, and other palate sensations. Well, okay, I didn't get any astringency, so I said none. And other palate sensations, I didn't get any alcohol heat. The more, the better when it comes to this, even if you're not hitting that. You're at least, or what's the word I'm looking for? If you're not experiencing that, the word is escaping me. You want to note everything you can about the beer to give the best explanation. Again, I kind of almost did the video now, but I'll do a little more detail later. And that was 5 out of 5 for mouthfeel. Overall impression, a very enjoyable and well-made beer. The hop bitterness is slightly low for style, making the beer a bit more sweet than expected. A slight increase in both early and late hop additions would round out this beer nicely, and that's an 8 out of 10. And this is what I didn't like. I left that last line empty, and I could have come up with something. I'm sure it wouldn't have taken too terribly long and wouldn't have run out my time if this was the judging exam. But for sake of getting these videos produced and getting you ready to take your exam, I let that go. That's a bad example of what to do. Don't ever do that. Just don't fill it in with fluff. Fill it in with some kind of observation, even if it's a smaller note or character than everything else you noted. Still put it in there to make sure you have those lines filled. That is the best thing you can do for your score, is make sure everything is filled in, because if you filled it in, you probably talked about everything that needs to be covered. So this was a bad example and overall impression. I did everything else, but I kind of, in a sense, ran out of a little bit of time there with the production schedule I was trying to run, which is actually not terribly unlike, I guess, the exam. But do your best not to leave any blank space. For the matrix box at the bottom, I have it all in the highest boxes. Classic example, flawless and wonderful. Again, 42 out of 50, so that's in the excellent range. And I did circle that on the side here. Excellent range is 38 to 44. And I think that's actually pretty fair. The only thing I could knock it for is that they did mention hops and bitterness, and the word medium was always there. Even though medium low was one of the descriptors they used, the term medium was there, and it was never past low. I couldn't even say low medium, which I think would also be medium low. Even saying that, it didn't feel like that was the right descriptor, because the hop character, both in bitterness and flavor and aroma, was not quite there. But good beer otherwise. Glad I had it. Glad I was able to do this. I hope you did it too. Again, when you're doing these, if you don't have a commercial example, if you don't have the same beer I'm having, do not let that stop you. Get this practice in. Grab a beer. Even if it's like, I was going to say completely off style. You might not want to do that. That's not going to do really any good. You want to get it close. You want it to be a beer that looks like it, is kind of tastes like it, is in the realm. You don't want to do a barley wine when you're doing a lager. Get another lager, some kind of lager. Might be a low score, but you're going to score beers low on your exam, and even more so when you're actually judging at competition. So you need that practice. All right, that's it. Let's go on to the next video and talk about subcategory 4C.